Good evening, good residents of Norfolk.
Recording in progress.
This is the Town of Norfolk Conservation Commission meeting on July 6th, being held in the Town Hall and also on Zoom. Our first public hearing is at 7:01 is 1 and 5 Hanover Street. Notice of intent. Who's here representing 1 and 5? Okay, what's your name?
My name is James Neva.
Okay.
Donna McKenzie.
Oh, okay.
Hi.
What would you like to show us? Yeah. Yeah, anybody in the audience that wants to talk, please grab a microphone
Okay.
so the people at home can hear. Can you blow that up a little bit, please?
These are two lots that the town owned at one point. They auctioned these two off. This one had to go back to the town. My client, who owns 5, had to buy number 1 Hanover so they could satisfy by building a house and putting on a septic system. Without number 1, we couldn't do it because of the wetlands. Okay, we got wetlands in the back. Also, we have a brook up top. But we're way out of the 200-foot buffer. Okay, and we have wetlands over on this side coming down from this CMP from road drainage. Okay, so the only place where we could put the house that stayed out of the 50-foot buffer was right here. We also went to ZBA and we were able to get a variance so we could come within to the 30-foot setback line versus 50-foot. So we were able to do that. And by buying and we had to buy number 1 again from the town so we could put the septic on it because we need a private well and we need the distances for that. So
How far is the house from the boundary?
30.5.
No, from the right-hand side.
Oh, from here?
No, on you're right, no. Where's your lot line?
Oh, my lot line's over here.
No. This side. Go
This
to the
one?
right.
This
Where's the house?
This is a house right here.
Okay, go to the right of the house.
Yeah, it's 99.5.
Oh, it goes over there. Okay,
Yes.
okay.
It's 99.5 off of that. And the thing that's restricting us is this wetlands coming around here, coming off of this CMP, road drainage that's going back. So,
Well, it's really not the drain that's causing the wetlands, correct? Isn't it the stream and...
It's a
isn't it?
good part of it,
Is there-
older than 8 years.
Yep.
Yeah, I think for years, the driving hydrologic force has been that catch basin, but I think it's been doing it for so long now, right as it drops off the road bank and it flattens out before it heads downhill. That one flat spot has probably been taking enough road drainage for long enough to develop some hydrology of its own.
Will that be filled in,
No,
that flat area?
no, that's not getting touched.
Oh, okay.
No, that's a 50-foot buffer.
Oh, that's within the 50-foot buffer, okay. Okay,
The only concern I have is, see how close. What's the distance between the home and the 50-foot barrier?
Right here,
Mm-hmm.
7.8 feet,
And how about in the right-hand corner?
4.9, 5 feet, 4.9. And, it's a pretty small house to put in that lot.
Okay, since the last meeting, and you had revised the plans, so you show the 12-inch CMP pipe, the stream location, the flags are up, and the revised plan had been signed and stuff, so. What we'd like to recommend is putting fencing up on the limit of work to prevent encroachment in the 50-foot no disturbance area.
Where the south dock is? You want
Right along the 50? Yep.
And the erosion control should be a minimum of 12-inch silt.
Okay.
In condition with the silt fencing. The other part is the erosion control barrier boundary should be staked by a survey prior to installation.
Okay.
And the erosion control barrier should be inspected by our agent prior to any of the work. And then as built plan, be requested with the certificate of compliance at the end. Have you gone over all these with Russ or the applicant?
Yes, most of these were discussed at the last meeting. The special conditions that weren't discussed at the previous meeting, I believe, was the addition of the silt fencing along with the silt sock. But I believe everything else was outlined during the last meeting.
Okay.
And when do you recommend them putting up the permanent fencing? Because we should put that so they have a limit of time or construction,
At the end of completion.
when the silt fence is pulled, the more permanent one, is that the time that we should recommend that they put up, the
I would
more
think
of the
that
permanent fence?
the majority of the site work would be completed before something like a fence would go in, after final grading, so towards the end of the construction process. I'm not sure. I guess I would have to speak with whoever is doing the work to find an actual, time frame for when that would be possible.
When do you hope to break ground?
When do you hope to break ground?
Start work.
Start work?
Yeah, right, definitely next year. We're gonna start next year.
Oh, in '23?
Yeah, 2023, yeah.
Okay.
Another potential special condition could be a pre-construction meeting that's held with the property owner and whoever is doing the work. So these issues can be outlined prior to construction, and things like scheduling and all of that can be discussed if that's something the commission would like to see.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I agree with you, because we want to definitely make sure that, like you're saying, that it's protected, the wetlands are protected during construction, and then after construction, the fence is put in, like, I agree with you with the rail fence, split rail fence, and time that is where it's going to be rainy or anything like that, and then it needs to be seeded, and how we're going to deal with that on,
It could almost be
Yeah.
after the grass is up.
So
That's a possibility.
just as long as, so the landowner knows they don't get the OOC until, those are met, and we want to kind of, explain, I guess, give them an expectation now, so that it's not, we thought we'd be done after, construction, not have to seed and then put up a split rail fence. So give them time to plan for that during their construction phase.
Okay, so I have added a 7th special condition to the 6 listed here to be added to the order of conditions.
Whatever you think seems right environmentally.
Yeah.
I think also that with the fence, the post should actually be something more permanent besides wood because it is so close to the wetland boundary, something like granite or something. Just because you wouldn't want someone to think it was just for aesthetic reasons as to why it was there. Because a wood fence could easily be taken down.
Or have a couple of granite.
Or yeah, something that's more permanent.
Or spotted around the perimeter, but still have the fence up, but have the
Yeah.
granite ones up there too as permanent, because wood is gonna rot at some point.
To that point, one of the benefits of split rail or post and rail type fencing is that it allows for wildlife movement. Something like concrete would involve a little more earth disturbance. So there's definitely pros and cons to both of that. Something that could be added to the pre-construction meeting would be having the applicant submit their fencing plan for approval to the commission. So at that time, the commission can decide whether or not it's an appropriate fencing type.
But we could give you that authority too, right?
Yes, you could. I would suggest that, they would put something together in writing, addressed to the commission. But yes, I could approve that during the discussions at the pre-construction meeting.
Because we've also required granite markers, so you could have if you did them randomly at different breaks in direction, they'd have the marker that would let them know that it's a 50-foot buffer marker. That would be incorporated as one of the
Condition.
rails, or posts to hold up the rails. Because on the last project, we had them put them up almost 6-8 feet apart.
Yeah, so if the applicant is amenable to it, I would definitely be happy to work with them to find a solution that would satisfy the requirements that you're looking for, and that also works for them from a construction practicability standpoint.
Any other comments from the commission? Comments from the owners or the representatives?
During construction, they have not been granted any latitude or elbow room to go across the 50-foot, correct?
Correct.
So what I would suggest is having that 50-foot staked in the field and then strung with that orange construction fence, just to make sure nobody makes a mistake and gets themselves in hot water.
Where's the silt fencing going? At the 50-foot or?
Yeah, so the erosion control barrier is essentially the 50-foot
Oh, okay.
no disturb. So that is going to be staked out prior to that going in.
And that's going to be a silt sock, correct?
Silt sock with a silt fence.
With a silt fence, oh, okay.
Okay, almost like, yeah, the orange fence with the silt sock next door, right?
Perfect.
Behind it.
Yes, correct.
Right. Okay. We have a detail for that. We'll get that.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? Okay, I'll entertain the motion to close the hearing on 1 and 5 Hanover Street.
Adams Liquor so moved.
Do I have a second?
Jim Wilson, second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Al Finney recused from this as well.
Okay. So it does pass. And then I'll entertain the motion to issue the OOC with the conditions. entertain that motion.
Okay, this is Mike Curl. I make a motion to issue the OOC for 1 and 5 Hanover Street
With the agreed upon special
with
conditions.
the agreed upon recommended special conditions.
Is there a second to that?
Second. Adam Zucker.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Abstain.
Recused.
It passes. Okay, 705 Kingsbury Road. Thank you very much for coming and talking. We appreciate that. And Caitlin will be in coordination with you. Communication. Okay, 6 Kingsbury Road. Is somebody here from?
Yes. Hi there. I'm virtual.
Yeah, okay. Hi. And
Hi
your
there.
name is?
My name is Susan MacArthur from MacArthur Environmental Consulting, and also on the line is Maggie and David Pasquin, the homeowners and applicants.
Okay.
For the project.
Hello, also virtual.
Hello.
Hi. Welcome.
Thank you. So the Pasquins are proposing to construct an addition, a 360 square foot addition off the back of their house. May I share my screen?
Please.
Is that okay? I think I need to get permission.
She's gonna-
It says. Just to see.
Yep.
Well,
Okay.
I guess before we do that, we should just open up the hearing.
Oh,
So we're jumping the gun. So I will entertain a motion to open a hearing on 6 Kingsbury Road, notice of intent.
Al Finney, so moved.
Is there a second?
Valstone, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Now I'll entertain a motion to waive the reading of the notice of hearing.
Al Finney, I make a motion to read the notice of hearing.
No. To waive it.
To waive it.
Yes.
I thought you said read. I'm sorry, sir.
Waive it.
To waive the notice of hearing.
Okay.
Maggie Curl, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now we're in business.
Okay.
Go ahead, Susan.
Okay, thank you. So the Paskins are proposing to construct an addition off of the back of the house. As you can see, the lot is fairly small. It's 0.13 acres in size, kind of linear. And behind the house is Kingsbury Pond. So I don't know if you can see the topography, but it's steeply drops down in the back. So the house is somewhat level, and then behind the house it gets pretty steep, drops down, and then it flattens out a little grassy area before you come to the pond. So the mean annual high water mark of the pond was delineated with blue flagging here, and we have the 50-foot buffer and the 100-foot buffer. So this area, well, I can actually show you in a photo, might be better. So behind the house is right now a bump out, like I guess they added an addition back in the day, with a deck, an overlook off of that bump out. And so this area, this will be all removed, and they're proposing to construct that 2-story addition. The addition will sit on piers, so it won't, there'll be very little ground disturbance. However, just so you know, the ground right now, so right behind, in this area is like patio pavers. So all work will be within, previously or existing impervious anyway. And there is this like 2.5-foot retaining wall that exists before, before this steep drop down. You can kind of see down to the pond. So we are proposing to kind of use that as the sediment control barrier, and then supplement that with on the edges to put erosion controls just a little bit on the sides, so nothing, just to ensure that no sediment gets down below. And then also on this back side of the house, we're proposing to install a dry well to collect the new rooftop runoff from the new addition to infiltrate the clean rooftop runoff. And I think for the most part, here's the picture of the pond. So no trees are proposed to be cut. However, there might be a branch or two that they need to prune up just to make sure that the new addition doesn't touch it. So I think that's it.
Can I make an addition?
What's that?
Can I add a comment?
Sure, yes.
On the plan you have at the top?
Yeah.
If you could show that picture again. Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah. So I just want to point out that the shaded decking on the left-hand side there is also existing deck that is to be improved. That is not net new construction there, right?
Oh, okay.
Correct. Yeah, that's existing decking that needs to go as part of this project. That we're just proposing that the whole deck is redone with that addition.
Okay. I should say that this hearing is only under the Water Protection Act, since you didn't notify the abutters.
Yes. Well, we did notify abutters just through the certificate of mailings. I didn't realize that the town bylaw didn't allow for that, but they're aware. I mean, I'm going to re-notify them with the green cards.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, the bylaw has to be updated. It's antiquated.
Okay.
But that's a different subject for a different time, different committee. Okay. Do we have comments from the commission? Any commissioners have questions? Caitlin?
So I did have one major comment. So the NOI narrative describes that there is going to be work taking place in the 50-foot no disturbance zone.
I did write that, and I apologize. I wrote it in a few places, and then afterwards I'm like, oh, oops. There is no work in the 50-foot. It's a mistake. I apologize.
Okay, so then with that being cleared up, my only other comment would be to revise the plan to extend the erosion control barrier further along the property boundaries towards Kingsbury Pond Road on both sides.
Well, it goes from, so here's I don't know if you can see my cursor here. This is that retaining wall, and then this is the erosion control barrier to the property line, and then on the side, I know it's light, but it kind of goes a tiny bit over the property, but are you saying to just wrap it?
Yes, to wrap it around towards the roadway itself.
Sure, we can fix that, yeah.
Yeah, particularly to the east of the site. It slopes pretty steeply down to the pond. So I think it would be important to extend the barrier up that way.
Like this, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, can do that.
And Caitlin, the question about the dry well and maintenance, especially if it's coming off of roof material, there's a good chance it's going to end up with debris at some time and fail. So do we require them to, does it need to be maintained? Is it,
So as far as I understand, roof runoff does not need to be treated.
I'm worried about,
Asphalt.
yeah, the dry well failing, and then where is all that water going to go once the dry well fails? Is it going to stop and then start eroding down the embankment towards the pond?
If, you don't mind if I talk about that? So, yeah, the dry well should last for at least a decade more, maybe 20, years. And so right now, the water just sheets over land, but this is putting clean roof water into, an area under the ground. So the worst comes to worst is that clean water would just, if it fails, would just sheet off over the land again, which is the existing condition. So they do require maintenance, but it's not, it's decades, it's not annual. You're supposed to check them every year, make sure they're draining out 72 hours after a storm, but,
I
should
think
be
Jim
good.
was referring to, I've seen it firsthand, is roof shingles shed asphalt, little tiny particles. Believe it or not, it's quite a bit from the rain running off it, and it would put a sheen on the clear well, causing it not to be able to perk properly in probably no time. It wouldn't take long for that to happen if there wasn't something maybe prior to it, or I don't want to say a basket, but a filter say prior to it to keep those fines out of the clear well.
Well, there will be filter fabric that will line the bottom of the stone of the trench that's going to be dug out. So, I mean, that should collect the fines.
You're talking about the roof shingling, particles of the roof shingling filling in the voids of the stones themselves.
That's what I think that's
But
what
are
Jim,
they
you're
small
referring-
enough to
Yes.
particulate matter that they'll wash down to the bottom?
I've cleaned gutters, and it's literally, I've
Oh,
had
yeah.
a half inch of shingling material in the gutter. So that's what I'm seeing is that, in reference to what Jim referred to, getting in and filling all the voids in the stone in the clear well.
Yeah.
And now it will not perk anymore, so,
It's also heavily foliaged in that area too, so there's going to be a lot of
Leaves.
leaves. yeah.
leaves and debris from that as
Yeah.
well.
Well, they should.
Just a thought.
Usually requires operations and maintenance like any other thing that you attach to your house, like cleaning out your gutters. So if it wasn't draining and it was, needed to be maintained,
Up
it
to
would
the
need to be
homeowner.
maintained. Yeah,
Yeah.
just like your
It's our-
gutters out.
It's out of our area.
Oh.
Yeah, so I mean, we get stuff in our gutters too, but there's not like a big pile of roof shingles at the end of
No,
our gutter
not
on
at
our
all.
lawn.
It's not
So
roof
I think
shingles
it would be
itself,
the
it's-
same type of maintenance.
Right, and as Regan stated, if for some reason it stopped working, the roof drainage would just continue to sheet flow over that slope as it's doing currently.
I think this is added because I'm assuming that Norfolk doesn't require rooftop rainwater on a single-family home to be infiltrated. So this is
No.
kind of an added
No, it
bonus
doesn't.
to
Yeah.
the project.
Yeah. That's a good thing. Where the
Alright.
lot is and stuff. Answer your question?
Yeah, well,
No, I'm just concerned
Just-
when you take all that moisture and put it in one spot, as opposed to it shielding across a larger area. That's my only concern, is, if it
Yeah,
does
so
fail,
it
then...
was found to be well-drained soils that have a high infiltration rate. So instead of just sheet flowing over that slope, it'll seep down, hopefully into the water table, which is a lot better for the environment and for the quality of the water in Kingsbury Pond. So definitely an added bonus to this project.
It's soil group A, by the way, so they are well drained. Hinkley loamy sand.
yes. It is a sandy area.
Yeah.
Very sandy.
Practice.
Okay. Any other comments, questions from the commission? Is there anybody in the audience or on Zoom that would like to add to this conversation? Okay, hearing none, seeing none. I'll entertain the motion to continue the hearing till August 3rd. And so I'll, entertain the motion. Yeah.
Excuse me, so I will re-notify abutters with the green cards, and
Okay.
I will be on vacation on the 3rd. Is it necessary that I be present or the Passmans be present? If I provide the proof of the mailing and the DEP file number, is that something that can just be closed without us being
Yeah,
there?
it's more of an administrative, where we'll review it one more time and vote on it. I think we
Yes,
have
and-
most of the answers.
Yeah, and I'll be in touch about the revisions to the erosion control barrier to make
Yeah.
sure that's all taken care of prior to the August meeting.
Okay. Okay, great.
Okay, motion to continue.
Want to do it at 7:01?
At 7:01 would be good.
I make a motion to continue 6 Kingsbury Road notice of intent to August 3rd at 7:01 PM.
And a second?
Valstone, I second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes, so we'll continue this until August 3rd at 7:01.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
We appreciate your assistance.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye now.
Okay, is the Wetland Protection Regulations proposed amendments. First, I'll entertain a motion to waive the reading of the notice of hearing.
Adam Zucker moves to waive the notice of hearing.
Second,
Maggie Crow, second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it passes. So what we're looking at is the amendments to the fee schedule, correct?
Correct. So currently, I only have the draft revisions for the fee schedule prepared for the meeting tonight. The revisions are shown up here in track changes. So pretty much across the board,
These are what we had discussed.
yes.
Right.
Did you hand these out?
No, I did not. They're in the share drive.
Here, you can take my copy. Bring you up to date.
So this bring us more in line with other towns.
Yes.
Surrounding towns.
Yeah.
So Elaine had put together a spreadsheet with towns in the area and what they are currently charging for their bylaw fee schedules. There was one omission, which was the certificate of release. As of late, a lot of lenders are requiring that orders of conditions be officially closed out prior to selling. A certificate of release would technically not satisfy that, so I think it would be confusing if someone were to come in, someone came in, got a certificate of release thinking they were all set, went to sell their house, and then during, the final closing, find that actually the order of conditions is still open. So I think omitting that as a category would be a good idea. One item that I propose adding is an emergency certificate fee of $100, which is in line with surrounding towns.
Very good.
It sounds reasonable, the additions to what we had originally talked about. I think we capture 99.9% of the documents.
Was there anything you thought we should add, or that you've seen, or?
So the emergency certificate was one of the things. And then for amended orders of conditions and for extensions, I separated into two different categories, residential and non-residential. With non-residential projects for extensions and for amended orders of conditions, there's typically a lot more work involved, whether it be reviewing amended plans, plan sets that are a lot longer than something you'd see for a residential project.
I don't think we've done this in a few years.
Yeah, this board has never done it. Yeah. On your notes, you have entertained a motion to continue the hearing till August 3rd?
Yes, so as far as the fee schedule, there are additional recommendations or proposed amendments that I'd like to make to the remaining portions of the bylaw.
Okay.
That hopefully will be drafted for August 3rd.
And those would have to be voted on by the town, the bylaws, or just our fee schedule?
For the regulations, and that just requires a vote from the board.
Okay.
I also need to reach out to town council to see whether or not the commission should be looking to revise the E-code version of the regulations directly, or revise the regulations as they are now and then go back later and update the E-code.
Okay. And also, I guess we should set when this will take effect.
The fees?
Yeah.
So, you want to talk about that?
So I believe they would not take effect until the hearing is officially closed, and all of the regulation amendments have been voted on.
And then, yeah, you have to stamp it in with the clerk's office and then advertise it that they're taking place, and it starts when the ad is in the local paper.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Do we want to start, how do we start with the fees for people that have projects?
It's
Going
all
for
new
services.
projects.
All new
All new,
Yeah.
yeah, you can't go back.
No, I mean, if somebody's like halfway through a project, are they going to, if they haven't come to a certain step, is that fee going to apply to them, or do we just say project starting on this date?
So it would be projects filed after the date where the new regulations
So the
would be
old projects
effective.
would just go under the old fees?
Oh, if you're saying if a project that is requesting for an extension, if they request an extension after the new
vote.
regulations take effect, they would have to pay the new price.
Okay.
I'm just wondering if the commission has considered adding a fee for a site visit from the agent, or a revisit for a certificate of compliance when you go back out, when it's not ready and you have to go out again and again and again until it's ready. You know, these fees are based on, how much time we
yeah.
spend on a project. And, I know some towns remove a fee for a certificate of compliance, but then charge if you have to go, include that in on the front end so that you have all the fees that you need for the time to do a project. But then if you have to keep going back out again, charging a fee for a revisit for, a certificate of compliance, a final compliance inspection. Just a thought, because sometimes it can take, when you go out again and again and again, it can take up a lot of time.
Have we seen that?
So are you referring to if someone files for a partial COC?
No, a full certificate of compliance, and then you go out and it's not ready, and you have to, the grass isn't grown in, and so you have to go back, you wait, and you have to go back out again. You deny it, because they, I guess they wouldn't refile a new.
So I have seen that in other towns. I believe only one of the surrounding towns included that. I want to say
Medfield?
Medfield, potentially. That is something, if the board wants to consider that, I'd be happy to amend the fee schedule again.
I don't want to hold anything up, but it's a thought.
The only thing would it be, I don't want to put you in a bad spot where you go out and there's just a misunderstanding between what they thought and we're charging them again. You know what I mean? If they-
Penalizing unfairly.
Yeah, if they thought the grass was growing, you go out and you go, it's too sparse, I need to come out again.
Right.
You wouldn't want to make it
Yeah, and I mean,
too,
town is pretty well contained, so, sites aren't too far. And, I mean, I've only been here a few short months, but the COCs that I've seen, all the developers that have applied for them are pretty well aware that, the site needs to be stabilized prior to issuing for that. And in my correspondence with people who are looking to file a COC, that's something I always mention. Needs.
Yeah, I guess my opinion would be, I think it's something for us to consider, but I don't think it's really necessary at this point. Let's, keep an eye on it and see, over the next few months during the building time, how often it occurs. And then, we can revisit it in the fall and.
or they get so many visits. So they get like, say, the max is 3 visits on a project. After that, you're going to be charged this amount of money.
Yeah.
Or
So
you
that
could,
it's-
I'm sorry, you could have a penalty system whereby if they call you to inspect it and it fails, then they are assessed some sort of penalty.
I agree with that. That
Yeah.
that absolutely makes sense, as opposed to, Caitlin just
So they could,
saying,
Every visit.
yeah,
and then they could call you off and say the grass isn't growing yet, or
Well,
whatever it is.
one way, instead of creating a penalty, one way to do that would be to deny the COC and have them refile for another COC and pay the full fee again.
I guess I like that approach. And then, it's a higher fee too. But it also, it tells them you gotta do it the right way and don't ask for it prematurely.
Right.
the other thing too is when we have, like, we've had a couple of, we've had issues in the past with, like, we've had to have stop orders and those type of things. I don't know if that's in the fee schedule at all with, something that we've had to go out and do an enforcement order.
So, in the regulations, the commission does have the ability to fine for situations like that. It hasn't come up yet. I believe it's $300 per day for every day that an applicant or property owner is not complying with the cease and desist or enforcement order or whatever conditions the commission sets forth.
Do you think that's reasonable enough to keep, use it as our discretion as?
Yeah, I think $300 a day, that will add up
Motivating.
quickly, yeah.
Well, didn't we just had a couple instances, if I recall, that,
Seccong Street.
yes,
Yeah, that was a
One,
whole.
one
yeah,
there and one out on Lincoln Road as well, I believe.
Yeah. There was a
So-
whole, he said, she said, and it just went on and.
Yeah. Okay, back to a motion. Did we get a motion? No.
Want a motion to?
To accept.
Accept. To approve the amendments to the fee schedule.
I thought Caitlin wanted us to
To
move it to August 3rd.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, Caitlin.
You could.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to continue the hearing on the WPA proposed amendments of fee schedule to August 3rd at 7:05 PM.
So moved.
Seconded, Al Finney.
Any further discussion? Any discussion from the audience? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, it passes. Okay, 358 Main Street, enforcement order. Caitlin, do you want to start it off?
Yes, I don't believe anyone is here.
Dan, I knew he is. This is Camger, correct?
No, so this
Oh, I'm
is
sorry.
the enforcement order. So that was ratified at the June 1st meeting. I went out and conducted a site inspection on June 8th with the property owner and their representative. At the on-site, it was determined that there was no placement of fill material in the IVW area, which was one of the bigger concerns. There was some limited vegetation clearing, shrubs, possibly a few trees, and then paddock fencing was also installed in portions of the IBW. Historically, that area has been a maintained grass area, I believe, for the purposes of grazing animals. As far as how long it's been maintained like that, I'm not quite sure. Also at the on-site, we identified several areas where resource area flagging needed to be relocated and marked by survey, so the extent of buffer zone alteration could be determined. The site was flagged, I believe, back in 2017, 2018, and there were not many flags remaining. I think I found 2 or 3. And then it was also agreed upon that the mean annual high water boundary needed to be flagged on both the eastern and western portions of the property. If you remember from the last meeting, there's perennial streams on either side of the property. During the original notice of intent filing, the bank to the streams were flagged. However, the mean annual high water boundary was not determined. So that needs to be flagged in the field to determine where the 200-foot riverfront area extends to. I have been in contact with the property owner's representative, United Consultants, as far as activities that have been going on since the June 8th meeting. AES was on site on 6/22 to conduct the mean annual high water delineation. And then surveyors were scheduled to be on site the following week to relocate those old flags, and as well as pick up the new flags for the mean annual high water boundary. And then a plan will be generated shortly after that, roughly around this week. The applicant's representative has expressed that once a base plan is created, that they would like to meet with me to discuss what needs to be included for the after the fact filing, fees for that, as well as any potential fees as far as the enforcement order goes. and things that need to be on the final plan.
We'd
Sim-
probably want barriers up, or markers up, I should say.
Yes,
This is the back side of Hanover.
yes,
Correct.
it's on the other
It's
side.
on the other side, the wetlands from 1 and 5 Hanover, correct? That's what we're talking.
So based on what I saw on the site, there definitely was quite a bit of tree removal in the riverfront area as far as the extent and how much, whether or not it was in the outer 100-foot or inner 100-foot riparian area. That won't be able to be determined until I see a plan. So there could be some potential restoration involved with after the fact. So I think, that's why after a base plan is generated, they want to meet to go over everything that needs to be included.
Okay.
Do we initiate any kind of fines when somebody goes into the buffer zone and does?
We can.
I'm just curious because, this happens, it seems, a lot.
Yeah.
And if there's no fines or nothing gets done about it, then people just do it figuring that,
Yeah.
conservation ain't gonna do nothing, so we'll just do it anyway.
Yeah. No, I mean, we're trying to keep closer tabs on things so that we know when somebody has crossed the line.
I think at this situation, if we've already made a point where the buffer areas are, and they decided to do something a little bit different, then at this point, then we need to go in and have them force with low water markers out of granite and 50-foot markers out of granite in so many feet apart on each corner.
Yeah, at minimum.
And that way, if you have to go out in another 10 years to look at it, then you can say, then comes, the fine from the commission saying, you've already been in front of us once before. You know where the boundaries are because they're made out of granite and they're flagged and you did it anyway. So you've already done it once. Your penalty was having the expense of putting in these, hiring consultants and then putting in this, and we'll let it go as you didn't know. But going forward, when
Yeah,
you know, and then go ahead and violate it, I think it's a little different from, a lot of people not understanding the 50-foot barrier and how important it is.
I agree. I feel that's a good remedy.
Yeah.
Make them put in the boundaries now, at least that now in the future, you can't say, well, I didn't know, they're right there. You don't know what that was, you should have asked, I mean.
So you should be getting the plan this month?
Yeah, so when I last spoke with the engineer, he was anticipating that everything would be ready for submission for the August 3rd meeting.
Okay.
So he was expecting that it'd be ready for the deadline for that meeting is July 20th, I believe.
Okay. All right, so we'll entertain a motion to continue this till August 3rd at 7:10.
Maggie Crowe, I make a motion to continue 358 Main Street to August 3rd at 7:10.
A second, please.
Stone, I second.
Any further discussion? Any discussion from the audience? Yeah,
Should I grab the mic?
yes, please.
Is it on?
I think it was.
You got the thumbs up from in there, so you're good.
It was on.
So like Caitlin,
Identify yourself again.
Russ Waldron, AES. So like Caitlin said, I get out there late last month and flag the river, the Mill River on the east side of the farm along the track and the wetlands. The situation with the Mill River and the other stream is you can't get to all of it, the channel, because as the river bends, it does a 90 and then a 90, 90, and 90. Well, that outer part you can't get to. It's just substrate's not stable enough, so you go out there and you would vanish, and
Well, we won't worry about that then.
now some college archaeology team would dig up your petrified carcass. So there's a break in my flags where it ends, and so what Rick will have to do is piece in from the air photo and, match up to my end of the flags. On the other side, you can't get to it at all. So I did not flag that brook. If you want, I can go out and give it a try, but I can almost guarantee you cannot get out there.
We'll put a rope around you.
I've tried it before on snowshoes.
Yeah.
In towns, and it's just not worth the risk. So what I left it with Rick is, I said, look, go with what you have on the plan, because it's the channel's obvious, so you can pick it off, reasonably accurately from, an air photo, an assessor's map, or something like that. But if it comes down to it, I'll, and everybody wants me to, I'll go give it a try.
Are we marking the channel, or are we marking the buffer zones away from it, where you're not supposed to access?
It would be the bank.
The bank.
You need the bank first.
Right.
The
Well,
bank
so
and or mean annual high water.
Yes, and based on, like you said, the conditions, it seems that the mean annual high water and the bank are not coincident.
On the Mill River on the right side, they pretty much are, even as it goes out, as best I can tell on air photos, when it does all its 90s out into the marsh, when it comes back in, and where my flags pick back up, then it isn't, because then the river just, right below the beaver dam, the river just flattens out and gets real wide. So I flagged, my best approximation of it. On the other side, again, just based on, looking at it from recent air photos, if you could get out to the channel, I think it'd be pretty easy to flag. Otherwise, the only other option is just to flag the edge of the marsh.
Do you know
There.
the soil type of the marsh area is an aquasol?
The soil types,
Yeah.
deep histosols. It's all cattail marsh. Yeah, so there's really no solid substrate out there.
I would think there would be some precedent for situations like this.
What I've always done all the years is when push came to shove, I just flagged the edge of the cattails.
That's where I was going with this, is to flag the edge of the marsh, because if anybody in their right mind wants to go out there, they're not coming back.
Yeah.
Pretty much, so.
Yeah, but it's not always the case. That's
Yeah.
the problem. Even in a cattail marsh, get out there, then you can't.
Were you out there just this past week or so, or?
Yeah, a week and a half ago.
Only reason I'm saying is because we're in a drought season, so if it's still that wet right now, then it must stay.
Cattail marshes typically, they may
stays
look
wet.
dry until you go walk out.
Yeah, until you, yeah.
And,
Okay.
find out the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
But I can do that too. It would pull the riverfront
Yeah, no.
areas in quite a bit.
No sense you risking going out for something that's not that important, as far as I see it.
Yeah.
It's not worse risking you not coming back, or getting stuck out there and screaming for a while.
Too old to take those kind of
Yeah.
chances now.
No.
Do you have any idea as to when a base plan might be put together?
No idea. I know Rick's as jammed as every other surveyor and engineer in the state, so it's, I'm sure he'll do the best he can.
Is there anybody else that would like to comment? Okay, hearing none, we'll continue this hearing until August 3rd at 7:10 PM. No.
Yeah, we got 358 Main Street at 7:10.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
I don't think enforcement actions actually need a public hearing. I think it's just a matter of the commission, so we could just say to continue it without a specific time.
Right?
That works.
Might not be a bad idea, especially if, over the course of the next couple of weeks, we do
Get
get
something
filings that require a public hearing.
Okay. So it would just be under new old business?
Yeah, under the same action items, orders, extensions,
Oh,
or no,
okay.
appointments, sorry.
Okay.
Do we leave it where it is?
So just continue, we need to continue the hearing, correct?
So, for an item that's just our purview, like the public can't come in and question whether we're going to do an enforcement action. That's our jurisdiction only. So,
We can
you're
close
very
it.
thoughtful and asked if anyone wanted to comment, but they don't have a right to until, except for matters that are required to be advertised and notified to the neighbors, and the public has a right to come in and ask questions and ask about the hearing. But if the commission chooses to do an enforcement action, that's our purview.
correct, yeah.
Our jurisdiction. So it doesn't need to be continued. It's just an agenda item that would stay on the agenda until we're ready to let them go, they submit something or what have you.
Okay, so we could take a vote to close the hearing.
I think we've already I think they already
Yep.
voted.
Did we?
Yes. And then you asked if there were any other questions, and then Russ
Yeah.
Yeah.
spoke up.
Okay.
So I think we're good.
So it's dead. It's done.
So Union Street.
All right. We'll move on. 358 Main Street.
Did that.
71 Union.
Just did.
Come on, 71 Union.
71.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
That's okay, sir.
71 Union Street, the cease and desist.
Yes, so, Jimmy is here. So I did receive a plan today, for the limit of vegetation clearing, and that should have been, you should have all gotten a copy of that. So the limit of clearing is outlined in red, and as you can see, there are areas within the 50-foot notice-served buffer zone and the 100-foot buffer zone. There are also encroachment issues onto a neighboring parcel. So
Caitlin, the red is where there has been work done? Is that what you're
Yes.
saying? Okay.
Yep. So, and the work has been described as grubbing, which is pretty typical. So there was no ground vegetation, and the majority of the stumps had been removed. It didn't appear that many, if any at all, large diameter trees were taken down. It seemed to be mainly ground cover and shrub type vegetation. So at this point, considering the unapproved buffer zone activities, the commission should decide what further action they want to take, if any. I would recommend that at a minimum, the property owner file an RDA for buffer zone restoration work within the 50-foot notice-served zone, and also to describe the work within the outer 50-foot
That they should?
that has already taken place.
Oh, okay.
What was the intent? What was it to do with this land? Or
So I did speak with him earlier today. I believe the initial idea behind the clearing and grubbing was to remove Oriental bittersweet, which I did observe out on the site. Since there was no vegetation there, I wasn't able to confirm whether or not the extent of bittersweet was throughout the entire area that was cleared. Where I noticed the bittersweet was mostly along the edge of the northern property boundary, where there were the encroachment issues onto the neighboring parcel. So I believe if
Is the property owner here?
he,
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay.
Maybe we can hear what he was planning to do.
Yeah. Caitlin, do you have anything else you want to add before we have them?
No, that was it. Sorry, I didn't know you
Okay.
were planning on.
No, that's okay. I
attending.
haven't met you, but my only intent was to clear off the vines because they were coming in on the property, killing my next door neighbour's trees, obviously, and then on the back end to do the same. However, I went to work, and the fella that I had to operate the machine got a little carried away at his own discretion. It was no intent. He just went around, you know. But mostly, and all of it was just to take down the vines because they were actually coming on the property. So when we were cutting the grass, I'd have to stoop down or try and trim them. So a friend of mine said I could get a brush hog or whatever they call them and mush them all up. So that was my need.
Okay.
So there were no rock walls or anything like that removed, just rocks that were there?
There was no
Just-
trees or rock walls or anything removed.
Okay.
What's your name for the record?
Owen Gillespie, EOIN Gillespie.
Did you write it on the?
Yes, I
Okay.
certainly did, yes.
All right, so Elaine can put it in the minutes.
Oh, yeah, that's in there.
Okay, what's that?
There's a tough situation here, because I want to ask, what, the neighbor to the right side there, that you went on his property, how did he feel? What was his,
Well, actually, I didn't realize that he actually went onto his property. However, he and his wife or girlfriend were there. I immediately found out that it happened. I went straight back to the operator. I said, stay off that side of the property. I also went next door, introduced myself to both of them, apologized, and reassured them that it would not occur again. That was purely a mistake on my operator's behalf.
okay,
So I'm sure he can verify that I was indeed there.
okay.
Who is the neighbor?
This gentleman.
Adam.
Ah,
So I was a little tough on how I go about this.
okay.
How do you feel, Caitlin, about it?
If either one of you wanted to comment, you'd have to go out in front, grab a microphone, state your name if you wanted to say something, and let's see if
No,
either
sorry.
one of you did.
I'm just going to recuse.
Yeah,
Okay. But just so that you
Yeah,
understand, you do have, you would go out as
property owner.
a non-member out in front as
That's where I
As a-
was at, so.
general resident of town.
Right.
That's your option. So you-
I mean, this is just the situation we just spoke about. It was not done deliberately.
Yeah.
It was, you know,
Operator.
a homeowner truthfully thinking he was just taking care of his property. And I feel that way. I'm doing the same on mine, but I had it surveyed and I know I don't have wetlands,
Yeah,
you know, but,
on the hill?
yes, my abutters are not happy, one of them, but it's too bad. It's my property and I can do what I want.
Send Caitlin out.
What's that?
I'm gonna send Caitlin to you.
To where, to
Allison.
No, I just,
Let's get the new fee schedule.
you gotta ask questions. I don't,
Okay,
just,
back to the issue at hand.
Mr. Chairman, I do
Yeah.
like the agent's recommendation that an RDA after a fact with perhaps some, you know, because obviously we do want the removal of Oriental bittersweet,
Yeah,
but, you know, contained to the person's property that they have permission to do the work on, but perhaps putting a native seed mix down where they're, if it's mostly ground cover and herbaceous, just getting a native seed mix.
what is on the ground?
In the upland areas, there were different types of ferns, maybe Connecticut or New York. There was also a mixture of cinnamon towards, the farther you go towards the edge of the wetlands, the vegetation becomes a little more transitional. But I definitely think, especially within the 50-foot no disturb, putting down a native seed mix with some aggressive type native plants would be important, especially since soon as possible to prevent the bittersweet from coming back.
By mowing it.
As of right now, doesn't have much competition out there. There's only mature trees. There's no shrubs or ground cover. And then for the outer 50 foot of the buffer zone, it would be a good idea to see, what the plan is for that area, and if there are plans to continue with invasive plant removal in the future, and how that'll be handled.
What are your plans? I guess for one, the disturbed area already, what do you plan on putting?
Actually, nothing at all. I was just trying to stop it from growing in on the lawn. I have no plans to do anything with it.
Oh, okay, so there's lawn there?
There's, the whole side of the left side of the property's lawn.
Okay.
And it just was grown in and then it's...
Okay.
And I've even taken pictures. As far as the rear of the property, most of that is all green again. The, whatever you call that, fern or something. So I walked down through out there this evening, and it's almost like you wouldn't even know there was a machine down there. It's so grown back in again. It's my only...
By ferns and stuff?
Yeah.
And weeds?
Yeah. So just on coming down, going in on the driveway side where I encroached onto my neighbour's property, he can vouch for it. It's just growing in hugely, and it seems like every week it's getting worse and worse, So I would like to at least have permission to trim that, even if it's by hand, so it, it doesn't kill the lawn or the sprinkler system, sprinkles back in on my lawn. But as far as the rest of it, like I said, my machine operator just got carried away. I don't know what was going on inside his head, but so as far as going down the property line, I'd like to keep that vine or whatever it is trimmed down so it doesn't continue to encroach onto the lawn. As far as the rest of it, I have no intent ever to go back there again.
Yeah, as long as you don't go in the wetland.
No, absolutely not. I truly would have not. If I had been there, I might have stopped him or at least realised that he was, just don't go back that far. But it was just a mistake on his part, and I suppose neglect on mine.
But yeah, you have the right to trim it back and keep it at bay as best you can.
I've actually taken pictures as of this afternoon, how much has grown since the last meeting, 2, 3, 4 weeks.
It's aggressive.
Yeah.
Now, what about remediation in the neighbor's property? Is that included in?
Alan?
Remediation would be nice, but I would just like to know that property line would be respected.
Okay.
Absolutely, 100%.
Right, because it can go back to what it was pretty easily on its own.
Okay.
But I just want to make sure that it's
property line is
it's respected. Yeah,
Is that line marked?
It is now.
It is now.
I had John McKenzie come in and the day afterwards to stake it, so I know exactly where the lane is now.
Okay. Fine with the markings?
Yeah, absolutely. I've walked it, and the flagging is pretty clear, and Oin has not set foot or disturbed anything that I've noticed on my property or behind. So, I mean,
all is good.
All is good,
Okay.
Lesson learned.
Okay, so what was the recommendation on this one? I'm sorry. Lost my place.
File for...
Yeah, so I think an RDA for buffer zone restoration within the 50-foot no disturbance would be appropriate for something like this. It sounds like the area has already started to revegetate, but I still think it's important to
Throw some seed down.
Yeah, throw some seed down. Make sure that, clearing and grubbing didn't exacerbate the bittersweet problem. And, create more issues within the buffer zone.
Okay. And why are we continuing this?
I was not aware the property owner was going to be present tonight to discuss this, so.
So we basically finalized it,
Yes.
and no need to continue if we say in order of conditions?
So the commission would like to see an RDA be filed. Is that something?
Yeah, I
You're
don't know what
okay
that
with?
means, but yeah.
Okay.
Whatever, Jimmy and I can clarify that, and, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can
Whatever needs to
definitely
be done, we
get in
might get
touch
it
with
done.
you as far as what would be included with that application.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine, and you can just let Jim know, because I'm not familiar with all of these regulations. Whatever needs to be done, Jim, you can convey with Jim, and then Jimmy will let me know what needs to be done, and he can supervise, or Russ can make sure that the work will get carried out.
Russ, did you also flag this?
I did, Russ Waldron, AES. I flagged this,
But just
For 16.
just before the last meeting.
Yeah. Oh,
well, no, so I flagged Owen's property last year because Jimmy was doing a certified plot plan for him. Just wanted to know what his property was about. And then I flagged the abutting property for the, and then filed the NOI for the pool. At least I think I filed that.
I think you did too.
Yeah. And so basically what was out there, as far as my best recollection, it was like dense ferns. Up on the knoll was mostly all high scented. Down low, like Caitlin said, it was kind of a mix. A lot of cinnamon fern, tall cinnamon fern. I don't recall the bittersweet extending all the way out close to the wetland, but there was buckthorn out there, which Owen, the guy, pretty much took care of. And and so it will all come back.
Yeah.
I mean, the ferns, I haven't been out to see it since Kenny and I went out and staked his property and located all the brush cut area, but I mean, I can only imagine that the ferns are going to just fill right back in. So, putting the seed mix down might work, might not. There's dense shade, it's a full mature canopy, so there's very little sun back there.
Okay.
And the ferns are going to fill it right back in, so you won't even know a machine went back there other than their piles of stuff.
Ferns are good.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I was back there this evening, and it's all fern. It's almost like it was untouched. Feel free for any of you to stop by. It's truthfully, I can't myself believe how fast it filled in.
The thing to do might be just
Well, if there's,
give it this growing season,
yeah.
And see what it is.
then go see what it looks like.
Okay.
If the fern's what you're saying, then putting grass seed down won't help because it's not going to get any sunlight to grow.
Plus, most, the type of seed you would want would be like the conservation wildlife.
Yeah.
And that takes 3 or 4 months to germinate, so it's too late.
Yeah.
Like you would put that down after the first frost or even before the first snow. And then it can sit all winter and then come spring, it'll get up and going, but right now it won't do anything.
Well, how about if we continue this until the fall sometime?
And you can go check it out and see. I mean, maybe we'll have them throw that grass you mentioned in the fall when it's the right time to do it, not now.
Let's do it for the October meeting, maybe?
Sure, yeah. I could go out there prior to the October meeting, kind of get an assessment of what vegetation's growing back, if the bittersweet's still an ongoing issue, and then the commission can take that information and go from there.
Okay. All right, so I will accept a motion to continue this until the August meeting. Do you know what that date is, Elaine?
August?
I mean, October.
I mean, October?
I want
October.
to say 7th, 5th.
Got a calendar?
It's the 7th, it would be the 1st, right?
Yeah, the first Wednesday.
Yeah, the first Wednesday.
Yeah, but if it was the 7th.
August
it would
2nd,
be the-
Or October.
October,
October
Does anyone
5th?
understand what I'm saying?
October
We
3rd,
got an October 5th.
5th.
I think it's the 5th.
Okay. At 7 o'clock.
I have a
Somebody
meeting.
Make that motion.
Al Finney, so moved.
Second.
Jim Wilson, second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, we'll see you in October.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Caitlin. So I'm assuming you'll go out and visit the site prior to that meeting?
Yeah, I'll get in touch with you, and I'm
know.
planning on going out.
Okay, I may not be in the country, but feel free to.
Okay.
There's no dogs in the property, so you're safe enough.
No need to leave because of that.
Oh, I know.
Okay, 360 Main Street.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate it. 60 Main Street, the request for the CFC. Caitlin?
Yes, I believe we have,
Deanna Iuzzi.
Dan Iannucci on with us,
And Joe, right?
or Joe Iannucci.
Both of them.
Oh, there's two? Okay. The project, and
What was that?
I think he's just off mute.
okay. So the project involved the construction of a new manufacturing industrial building with parking, graded drainage and utilities within the 200-foot riverfront area to Mill River. This is actually just south of the 358 Main Street property we were just discussing. So they did submit a written engineer statement prepared by Howard Stein Hudson and an as-built plan as part of the COC, request for COC. I went out and conducted a site inspection yesterday, July 5th, to confirm existing conditions on the property. Landscape. The vegetation was growing in pretty nicely there. The erosion control barrier was noted to be in fair condition at the time of inspection. There were a couple areas where it was starting to deteriorate, but they've been in there for about 2 years now, so that's to be expected. There were no issues with sedimentation or anything like that in regards to the barrier. In the written statement, Howard Stein Hudson did point out a few differences between the approved work and what was actually constructed. So there were several minor changes to the approved stormwater management system. There was 2 rain gardens, Rain Garden 1 and 2. There were minor modifications to the configuration of those as far as where the outfall structures were located. And then the subsurface infiltration chamber system had to be modified due to lack of available materials. I believe they had originally approved a certain Cultec chamber and had to go with a different Cultec chamber. And all of these changes to the stormwater system were reviewed by the planning board's peer reviewer, as they they're the Stormwater Authority, and he approved those changes and concluded that they would not affect the overall operation of the stormwater system. A few other inconsistencies that included work within the 200-foot riverfront area, was the removal of the dumpster pad and dumpster. There was also a change in the surface material around the western side of the building. It was originally proposed to be grass, and it is now gravel. The engineering statement summarized that the gravel area is 1,975 square feet of the semi-impervious area within the riverfront area. In terms of the overall project, I do believe that the work was completed in substantial compliance with the approved order of conditions. And I think that the commission has all the information they need to issue a full COC for the work.
Okay. Any questions from the commissioners? Dan, Joe, any comments?
No, there's no comments on our side. I appreciate Caitlin's disposition on the site, backed up by Hudson's review of the site. So hope everybody is happy with the project if you've had a chance to see it.
Looks nice, the road.
Has the fire suppression line
Thing to do with us.
Yeah, well, if they're picking it up, it does.
Oh, that's true.
So I just want to know if the hydrant and the piping was put in,
Technical.
because I just dropped off stuff last week there, so that's all. But okay.
We're good. All right. Let's entertain a motion to issue the full CFC.
Al Finney, so moved.
Is there a second?
Adam Zucker, second.
Any further discussion from the public? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. You've got your CFC.
Place looks great.
Thank you.
Again, yeah, the place looks great. I'd like to get a tour sometime of the inside.
Anytime.
I'll give you a call.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good night. Okay, top 12 Stop River Road.
So yes, the property owners at 12 Stop River Road also filed a request for a COC. The project, the order of conditions was issued in August of 1992 for a single-family home within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands. So with the request for COC, they submitted the COC form as well as an as-built plan. One of the special conditions of the order was to provide an as-built plan that was stamped by either a professional land surveyor or PE. The as-built plan was stamped by a PE. There were several other special conditions that pertain to pre-construction, administrative, and construction period requirements. As far as I could tell, all of those special conditions were adhered to, and that there were no continuing conditions for the project. I conducted a site inspection June 21st to confirm existing conditions. The site is currently improved by a single-family residential home with attached deck, driveway, and maintained lawn areas. There's a riprap retaining wall that's constructed with natural stones along the eastern side of the driveway. The BVW system is located to the southeast of that driveway. As shown on the as-built plan, the driveway and associated retaining wall are actually located slightly further away from the BVW than was originally approved. And also the underground sewage disposal system is located approximately 20 feet farther away from the BVW than was originally approved. So based on my review of the submitted materials and my site inspection, I believe the work was completed in substantial compliance with the approved work, and it is my opinion that the commission can issue a full COC for the project.
Okay, any questions from the commission? Okay, I'll entertain a motion for 12 Stop River Road, CFC, DEP number 240-0136 for a full COC.
Valstone, I motion to issue a full COC for 12 Stop River Road, DEP number 240-0136.
Is there a second?
Jim Wilson, second.
Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It passes. 1 Stacy Road, request for compliance.
So I found this to be pretty interesting. So this request for COC is being made for the first order of conditions that was ever issued in the town of Norfolk in 1974.
Where are the archives coming? Where are you finding this stuff?
We have good file system.
Yeah, there's actually...
Go on,
The house is 40 years old.
and download it, but this one isn't even on there.
Wow.
Outdated, yeah.
Yes, the file, it's pretty funny that the site photographs are actually on the like mini Polaroid
I'll bet.
pictures. So yeah, it was interesting to take a look back through all that information. So anyways, the order of conditions was issued for the construction of La Pointe Estates subdivision roadway and associated underground utilities within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands. A final order of conditions was issued on April 20th, 1974. So surprisingly, the order of conditions plan as well as an as-built plan were available in the file. I don't know if you want to pull them up, if you'd like to look at them. But it was a pretty short roadway with the cul-de-sac at the end. It was a larger parcel that was then divided into, I think, 14 or so lots. So the applicant is requesting a partial COC for release of 1 Stacy Way, which was formerly known as Lot 5, which you can see. So it's in Lot 5 is at the corner of Stacy Road and Rockwood Road.
The first lot.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what's the status about all the rest of those lots?
Well, at this point, I don't see what the value would be in keeping this permit open.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you should just issue a full COC
Yeah,
for the entire permit, because at this point, you can't
Change
can't
it.
enforce anything.
No.
The time period is past too long. Even if we tried to, on a state or court level, it wouldn't, the courts would say it was too long.
Yeah.
So I think we should just, so we don't get 14 partials.
Yeah, good point.
my recommendation would be just to close it out,
Is there any reason why they would submit a partial?
to clear their house lot to.
Yeah.
That one lot to
Clear.
sell.
One lot, though?
They're probably looking to sell it.
Yeah.
lot.
For that house.
Currently for sale.
And if we issue the full one, can't they
And
sell?
all of them can sell.
All
Sell all of them.
Have them here in the next,
There's no,
They're
you
probably
have to
all the
enforce it during the
landlords, all
permit.
the
Yeah.
tenants
Really,
probably
you know,
have
you
the
can't
issues.
So we would send a
wait
letter to all.
for 50 years and then say, you know, they didn't do something.
yeah.
The ship is kind of
So
sailed.
if we, yeah, I guess it would depend on how well, if someone were to sell in the future, it would depend on how well their, the lawyer they hire to do a title search is, because the person making the request would file it for their property.
Well, we would just issue it for the whole
The
project.
whole street.
You wouldn't,
Yeah.
you wouldn't do a partial, you would do a full with this file number, and, yeah, it would be.
Cover
Yeah, so,
everybody.
but then when the property owner would take it to the registry, they would file it under the deed for just Lot 5.
But-
If the original order was recorded, it would be a certificate of compliance that would refer back to that order. So it wouldn't just be with that lot, it would be to the order. And that order is then in the
Yeah,
chain
no, I
of
understand
title
that,
for
but
all
I'm
the
just
lots.
saying, it wouldn't be,
It won't be recorded for the rest of the lots, only lot
It will,
5.
it will. No,
But the-
unless we do only a partial, and then the partial specifically it says only this map and lot, then it would only be releasing that one lot. But if we do a full certificate of compliance for 1240001, the certificate of compliance, there's a little link in the registry of deeds, and you click on it, and it goes back to the order, and the order is what is in all those lots' chain of title.
So
it
it would be
release the
clear.
entire permit for everything.
So it's not like it would be 240-0001, 240-0002.
Or ABC, whatever.
I mean,
No.
my question is,
All
would
this-
that order have included all the other lots, or were those sold after the
Yeah.
fact? So those,
so, yes, they were
That's-
sold after the fact, and.
so they won't
the-
be on that first
The
order?
wetlands are actually kind of located in that blank area.
They would be
So
on- that
some of the
order would
lots
be in the
did
chain.
file their own notice of intents
Flexible.
under
Wait a minute,
different
one person
order
at a time.
conditions.
Yeah.
There are several other orders associated with the subdivision, but as far as the roadway itself, yes, the commission could issue a full COC for that.
And it'll cover everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it would be unlikely that all of the lots separately would file for a partial in order to achieve the full COC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and at this point, whoever put in the road is not going to come back and
No,
apply for a full
exactly.
COC.
It's- Yeah,
Why not?
it'll just be on file if
And
anybody
even if
applies
they-
for
On
it.
their to-do list.
Even if they paved over the whole wetland, we couldn't, you know, at this 40 years later, there's no enforcement. We can't be compelled to issue a certificate of compliance, but we couldn't do any enforcement action, so,
Might as well close it out.
yeah, it's sort of an administrative
agree with
closeout
that.
at this point.
Yeah.
I think if we have roadways, we should be following up on when their expiration dates are and making sure that we're on top of projects as they're going on, but something that's 50 years old, I personally don't see a value in keeping it open.
No, looking at the way this went, 001 was done in 1974. Their plan to build on Stacy Road was 1976. So I would assume that 001 goes for the whole entire project.
It
Like
does.
you're saying. So
Yeah.
if we do 001, that should clear all the houses.
Of
Looking
the
back to
one permit,
files,
yes.
there were-
They probably did one permit for all of whatever was included in wetlands when they did it.
There were several other notice of intents filed for different lots throughout the 80s and 90s. Some of them being denied, some of them being approved.
So, yeah, so if this one was only good for 3 years, even if they extended it, and then if 5 years later they came to build a house on one of the lots, they would have needed a new permit. But that's kind of separate.
Yeah.
Right now.
But
it'd
it
just
is
be-
all
I think this would-
matured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This at least would release anyone that has this as
This
part of their
particular
deed.
permit, yeah,
Yeah.
in their chain of title.
Yeah.
So I'll accept a motion to certificate of compliance for DEP
So moved.
Okay.
Seconded.
Any further discussion?
The only thing I would add would be make a notification of the particular document, maybe book and page, so that if it's an encumbrance on those other lots, then it's referenced for release. You know, if you're gonna, if the orders of conditions are satisfied for that document, and that's what's encumbering people's, then just to make sure that we, you know.
It should list all lots or no? Or it already is listed as lots?
Yeah, we don't need to list all the lots on it. And I would assume and I hope that we should be requiring that people, whenever they record something, provide a copy of the recording information to the commission. Because we need that for records retention purposes.
Yes, we do that.
Yeah, so we should
I mean, that's
have it
my
on
only
file, so if
concern.
anyone
So,
else
yeah, I mean,
wants.
they'll
My concern is that
go to the
lot-
registry and,
10 will be coming to us in 2 years saying, I'm trying to sell my house and I don't have a,
Can't find it.
right,
But it'll
can't
be
find-
Release, but I can't find
but
it.
it'll be in the file.
That's, you're right, that's what I'm looking at. That's all I'm,
Yeah, as long as it's in our files and on the,
we'll have
in the
it.
state system.
Okay.
Are you happy?
Yes, I'm happy, sir.
Okay. That's why we're here.
Adam, you happy you brought this up? I was all
I don't know,
close.
man, I'm getting a little depressed lately.
Drink your
Bring your neighbor
concoction.
back.
More kombucha.
Can I have a hit?
Oh, QT,
Okay.
10.
You're becoming more and more lucid as the more and more you drink.
It's this apple cider
The
vinegar.
record, it's non-alcoholic.
Yes.
Yes, for the record, it's not
Discussion
alcoholic.
before the video came on.
Jeez.
Well, if Jim tastes it, he'll.
Yeah.
Okay,
Anyways.
we'll take this motion.
So yes, all in favor?
Yeah,
Is-
that's my job. All in favor?
Just trying to move us along.
Aye.
Okay, it passes. We're having a little bit too much fun.
Yes.
Okay, City Mills
Sorry.
Pond, 240-0645. That's the treatment of the pond by our good friends. And they sent in a letter and the invoice. So this will, we need to vote to approve the invoice so it can be paid by CPC.
This last time. See,
She's the chairperson.
the commission is the monitor of this project, and as the monitor, they must vote to approve the submitted invoice. Once approved, the CPC can process the invoice for payment. CPC has requested that the commission vote to grant the conservation agent the authority to approve these invoices going forward. If that is something that the commission would consider. And then the commission is also the monitor of the invasive species management project at Mirror Lake, which we just received an invoice for that project at the end of last week.
Who's going to pay that one? Us or
That's
CPC?
also being funded by
Right.
CPC.
That's great.
So it's the CPC's hope that the commission can vote to approve the City Mills and Mirror Lake invoices, and then also vote to grant the authority to the conservation agent to approve these invoices in the future.
Yeah. All right,
For all of the,
treatment.
or just these,
For the projects
Two.
where the commission is the monitor.
All right, let's take one at a time. First, to approve the City Mills treatment invoice.
Make a motion to approve the City Mills treatment invoice.
Second.
Zucker, second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay? It passes. Motion to authorize the conservation agent to approve invoices, future invoices for treatment that we monitor, and I'll leave it at that.
So moved.
Al Finney seconded.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay? Okay, that passes.
Mirror Lake invoice.
That's the next one. I'll entertain a motion to improve the Mirror Lake treatment invoice that CPC will pay.
So moved.
Second?
Palstone.
Maggie Crow, second.
Whoa!
Go, Maggie.
Further discussion?
Question?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it passes. And since we're on CPC, we've got to appoint the Conservation Commission representative for the CPC. And I just got a good quote from Alan that said, great, regarding CPC.
Yep.
At 8:44, so I think you'd be the best representative for us.
I thought we already had somebody that had volunteered to be in that position, but we have to
We've got to formally do it.
formally do that.
So I'll make a motion, I'll accept a motion to nominate somebody. You can nominate yourself.
Can I nominate Alan Finney?
Yeah?
I would like to do that.
Second that.
Would you be willing to do this?
This is what, once a month?
Yes.
I'll take a shot at it. How's
It's on
that
a
sound?
Wednesday, Wednesday, 7:30.
Okay, I'll give it a whirl and see where we go with
Okay,
it.
that's all we're asking. It's only a 5-year commitment.
I got a tear coming, wait a minute.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah, it's only June, so. Thank you, Alan.
Yep, you're
And-
relieved of your duties, Dave.
What?
You're relieved of your,
Thank you.
relieved of your duties now.
Elaine, if you would please send a letter to the CPC and notify them that Alan will be our representative in the future. And with his contact information. Appreciate it. Okay, minutes to approve, June 1st, board meeting. Anybody have any additions, questions, comments? Seeing none, make a motion to accept the June 1st meeting minutes.
Palstone, I motion to accept the June 1st minutes.
Is there a second?
Maggie Crow, second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it passes. You've all got a copy of the leachate? Leachate? How do you say it?
Leachate,
Leachate.
Leachate?
the leachate pond, yes.
Yeah. Any questions for our DPW representative?
It's there.
Okay. Old business, we need to reorganize. The beginning of the, basically, appointment should take place. The appointment, correct? And then an appointment of the chairperson. We can, is there anybody liking to be the vice chair? Anybody else?
Unopposed.
Then I'll make a motion to approve Dave Turi as the chair and Jim Wilson as the vice chair of the Conservation Commission.
Adam Zucker, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Better not pass. Okay, any other?
You, clerk.
Okay, well, we need a clerk to sign the minutes. Not a big detail, but it's an administrative thing. Since Jim has moved up in power. What?
You have to read them, too.
Well, of course.
You have
Is it just like a
you do?
typo thing? I could do a typo thing.
Just read them and sign them, you don't have to do anything else, right?
I think somebody has
I can do it.
volunteered.
I can do the spell check. I can be the
Okay,
clerk.
make a
Unless anyone else wants to duel for it.
Do I have to
but-
nominate her, or is she
Yeah.
all set? We're good?
No, we got to nominate her.
Okay.
We'll do it officially.
Adam Zucker, I nominate Maggie Crow for For the clerk?
The spell checker. Spell check.
Is there a second?
Also, and I second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I say
Okay, that
aye.
passes. Any other unanticipated business? I do have just one thing. During the next month or two, the Norfolk Lions have asked that we accept their volunteering to go into Campbell Forest and clean it up, spread wood chips, maintenance. So I think that's, they've been doing.
Why would we not accept that?
Well, I'm just to bring it up, that it's officially on record.
Yep.
Like they've done in the past, so,
Doesn't the
They do great
CPC
work.
representative do that?
no.
By themselves.
No.
The wheelbarrow.
Well, once he becomes a lion, he will.
Yeah,
If there's extra free time.
yeah.
But I'll monitor it since I'm close to it, and I'm also a lion, so I'll keep you updated.
Like physically?
Liar
Here,
or liar?
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
It was Al.
What's that?
I don't know. You said you were a liar, or did you say
No, a lion.
Oh, okay,
Lion.
we're good.
A
now.
lion.
All right.
Norfolk a lion.
He's a lion.
You always end up with all the candy.
Yeah, he's on a sugar high.
They just keep coming at me.
And I'll accept a motion for adjournment.
That one's mine.
Yep.
Maggie Curl, I motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes. Good night.
Good night.